Now, I'm going to make a point. Now, if you're good with a hammer, you think everything's a nail. So I think Google is like the hammer with which we should be hitting all of our marketing problems. But I'm telling y'all, they just rolled out a marketing mechanism that is going to revolutionize all business, and nobody knows. And nobody knows. And it's so frustrating to me because, and this just happened in late 2021. Like they handed this thing on the silver platter that's been in beta since 2019. And at the moment, thought leaders are dismissing it. And so what I need to do in order to make the case for this mechanism, and by the way, Joel's criticism of me is that I talk too fast. I can't stop it. I'm so sorry. And I have a lot of information to get through. So I'm doing my best. But in order to make the case for the mechanism, I need to first make a case for Google. Because Google's not pari passu with something like Facebook. Facebook has 55,000 demographic and psychographic profiling factors that it uses in order to determine who you are, what you're going to buy, what you're going to do. Google has 72 million.
Kasim is the founder and CEO of Solutions 8. He's one of the world's top-ranked Google ad agencies. He's the traffic coach for digital marketers' elite coaching program. Was hand-selected by Ryan Dice to help create digital marketers' new paid traffic certification, and is the co-host of Perpetual Traffic, one of the top marketing podcasts in the world. He's the recipient of the Arizona Interactive Marketing Association's 2017 TIM Award for Person of the Year. Kasim was also named one of the top 50 digital marketing thought leaders in the United States by the University of Missouri in 2020. His book, The 7 Critical Principles of Effective Digital Marketing, was featured as one of the top 100 digital marketing books of all time by Book Authority. As a professional speaker, Kasim has been a main stage MC for the Traffic and Conversion Summit, the largest marketing conference in North America, and speaks regularly at marketing conferences around the globe. He and his wife have 2 sons. They split their time between Scottsdale, Arizona, and Seattle. So give it up for awesome Kasim. Hi, brother. Thank you. He's going to do a presentation, then we're going to do some Q&A, just so you know. Okay?
I'm still good for 20, Joe?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Vaudeville caned me off here if I start to annoy people. I got to tell you, I do a fair amount of speaking, but I was intimidated when I knew I was coming into this room because I've known about Genius Network for a long time. I've been a fan of Joe's for a long time. And then I sat through an hour of y'all making clitoris jokes, and now I feel a lot better. Help me calibrate, if you don't mind. I'm going to calibrate my presentation to you. So, and I'd love maybe if we can get help me get a barometer for those digitally. I'm going to define terms first. If paid traffic were a critical component of your business, it would mean that if you lost paid traffic or got it shut down, that it would either be catastrophically damaging or really, really hard to replace. So, by show of hands, who here pays for, and it doesn't have to be Google, Facebook, I think SEO is paying for traffic, radio, television, newspaper, but who pays for traffic is a critical part of their business, whose business wouldn't function without paid traffic. I'm seeing 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What are we looking at online? I've got 6 here, and then I'm just curious as what we're looking. What's the online? Okay, that's about what I would expect from a room like this. You're too sophisticated to be ultra reliant on a single source of truth. Now, who runs paid traffic as part of their business, but it's not, it wouldn't be catastrophically damaging. That's so much lower than I expected to see. I wanted everybody's hands to go up. Who has run paid traffic, but you don't anymore because it failed? That should be everybody's fan going up. Yeah. So here's why it fails. It fails because we make incorrect assumptions. I love it when people say like, oh yeah, I tried Google, I tried Facebook, and it didn't work. And I'm like, no, your business didn't work. Like I brought the person who said, oh, I want to buy the thing, and then I brought them to your thing, and they didn't buy your thing. That's your fault. Where's Joel? Where does Joel? Joel, do me a favor. I want you to imagine. Imagine for a moment that you could go to God. Okay, so you can go to the God, like Alpha Omega, Yahweh, and you can say, God, here's what I'm selling. Here's everything I got. Here are all my ads, all my assets, all my pages, and go. And then God would figure out what sequence of events needs to take place in order for people to ultimately buy your thing. Like, is that something that you would partake in?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely, right? There's no question. Now, here's the issue, and I'm going to say something that hopefully isn't too incendiary. Google is God. Google, and I realize that we have some people with theological commitments here and then also at home, and I'm not trying to say anything that's, I believe that to be technically true. It's a quote that I took from Scott Galloway, who's a marketing professor at NYU, and he says, Google is God because God was the entity to whom we posed all of our questions. That's historically true. So if you had questions, why is my son sick? Why won't my crops grow? You look to the sky and you said God. Now, where God still has a place in all of our lives, that entity is Google. So if you were to tell somebody who was born and raised in a cave the last 20 years what Google is, how would you define Google? What is Google? Shout it out. Fast like a bunny.
Search engine.
Search engine. That's the answer I wanted, because it's wrong. Because it's wrong. Because all of us think that Google is a search engine. Does my little clicky thing? There we go. And the problem with looking at Google as a search engine is it compartmentalizes it to a degree that it inhibits our ability to use it. Now, I'm going to make a point. Now, if you're good with a hammer, you think everything's a nail. So I think Google is like the hammer with which we should be hitting all of our marketing problems. But I'm telling y'all, they just rolled out a marketing mechanism that is going to revolutionize all business, and nobody knows. And nobody knows. And it's so frustrating to me because, and this just happened in late 2021. Like they handed this thing on the silver platter that's been in beta since 2019. And at the moment, thought leaders are dismissing it. And so what I need to do in order to make the case for this mechanism, and by the way, Joel's criticism of me is that I talk too fast. I can't stop it. I'm so sorry. And I have a lot of information to get through. So I'm doing my best. But in order to make the case for the mechanism, I need to first make a case for Google. Because Google's not pari passu with something like Facebook. Facebook has 55,000 demographic and psychographic profiling factors that it uses in order to determine who you are, what you're going to buy, what you're going to do. Google has 72 million. So is Google a search engine? Yes. And because it's a search engine, it's the largest search engine on the planet. And they say that Google has 66% market share. And Bing likes to participate in that lie because it makes them look relevant and it makes Google look like it's not a monopoly. Google has 99% market share by search. The 66% market share is per capita. 99% of all the searches that happen online happen through Google. And that means that Google knows what you want, what you're afraid of. Think about this. Google knows your knowledge graph. It knows what you don't know. It knows where you're ignorant. And it's capturing every single one of those data points. But Google's also Gmail. Largest free email client on the planet, becoming one of the largest business email clients on the planet. And when you read Google's terms of service, they're reading every single email that you send and receive. They're trying to determine your semantic architecture, your level of education, your income. And you're like, oh, I don't use Gmail. Doesn't matter. You communicate with people who use Gmail, which means Google is tracking you as well. And you'll notice, based off of your emails, advertisements become customized to you. Google's also YouTube. It's the second largest search engine on the planet, largest video repository on the planet. Google knows what entertains you, what you want to know. YouTube is where people go to learn. I have a friend who's in a mastermind with me who built a house from the ground up using nothing but YouTube. And YouTube's influence, interestingly, it's the only social media platform on the planet that continues to grow. It has yet to plateau and drop like every single other social media platform on the planet. It's amazing. And it also has the longest, what would you say, lifespan. Google is Google Maps. You have Google in your pocket, every single one of you, iOS or Android. Google knows where you go. It knows whether or not you speed. It takes 30 minutes to get from point A to point B, but you got there in 25. Auto insurance ads. Google knows. Google's Android, largest operating system on the planet. It goes who you call, who calls you, who you ignore, who you lie to. This is the part that gets the scariest. Clicky. Google is Google Analytics. Google Analytics is on 99% of all front-facing websites. Google knows what websites you go to, what websites you log into, what you do on those websites. Google knows who's in Narcotics Anonymous, who's cheating on their spouse, who's about to get a divorce, who's about to declare bankruptcy. Google let Facebook take all the bullets for the privacy issue. There were congressional hearings on Facebook. They trumpeted Zuckerberg out in front of the congressman, and all the geriatric morons asked him a bunch of stupid-ass questions. Google is the privacy danger. This heralds the oncoming of Skynet and the machines taking over. But in the meantime, we can make money, so it's okay. In April of 2015, Google told a woman she was pregnant before she knew she was pregnant, based solely on her search and communication patterns. April of 2015, this is 7 years ago. What is it, Moore's Law? Machine learning doubles every 18 months? That was 7 years ago. Google knows what you're going to do before you do it. Their stated goal is to reverse engineer human intent. And y'all, I see it happening. I see it happening every single day. I'm the #1 ranked Google Ads agency on the planet. I have 200 Google accounts. We have $54 million under spend or observation. And so I get to see Google predicting intent. It's unfreaking believable. But up until very recently, they haven't given us the tools to be able to reverse engineer this. It's been very much like, okay, you go, please take this, and then come back with something that works. And you had to spend a lot of money and a lot of time in order to make that function. So Google, up until this point, has been very bottom of the funnel. And we're all marketers in this room, whether or not you like to admit it. So we all know what the sales funnel looks like. Google has been the extreme bottom of the funnel, which is about 5% of the commercial audience. Facebook was the top of the funnel mostly, which is 10 to 20% of the commercial audience. The remainder of the audience is is untouched, unencumbered. You're counting on either I'm going to capture your email address and I'm going to nurture you, so it's email and content, and or you're expecting that organically you're going to be able to kind of tickle these people, let's say. So what's interesting about this is we're about to open up the entire funnel, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. A couple of really important notes. COVID catalyzed a 70% increase in consumer spending online. That is huge, especially in an ecosystem where we were talking about 5 or 10% increases year over year. 70% increases, it's massive. It's world shifting. Now, quick question for you. How many touches does it take before somebody makes a purchase?
8 to 12. 6.
There's a 1970s Harvard Business School study that says it takes 7. There's a 1970s Harvard Business School study that says it takes 7. 500. The amount of advertising that you're exposed to, the amount of media that's available, and the sequence to a purchase, that 7 touch point has been a lie for 50 some odd years, but we keep propagating it. Google wants you to operate off of a 500 touch point paradigm. In order to market properly, the thing that we need to do, that we need to have in our mind, is I have to love on, nurture, and stay in front of these prospects in near perpetuity. And so this click-to-purchase paradigm has to go away. It has to go away. And if you run online ads before, and if your online ads have failed before, it's because, oh, I throw an ad in front of you and then they buy. That needs to depart your mind if we're going to be successful online. Instead, we need to put ourselves in a position where we can touch somebody 500 times. And in order to do that, and this is one of the critical prerequisites to be successful with what it is I'm about to present, you have to have quality content. You have to have quality content. It's interesting because we've come full circle as marketers, because in the very beginning it was content is king, content is king, content is king. But then as we got better and better and better and better and better at targeting, you know, I mean, Facebook was amazing at it. If you really think about it, it's like, oh, I want a blind, one-legged single mom that lives in Utah and plays the banjo. And Facebook's like, oh, I got 12 of them. And so because you could target to that degree, you didn't need an insane amount of content because you could match. Now that A, privacy first initiatives are inhibiting our ability to do that, and then B, more consumers are moving online and they're getting more intelligent. The consumer buying cycle for every industry, almost as ubiquitous truth, is expanding. They're researching everything. I spent 4.5 hours researching a $20 water filter, right? Like, it's unfreaking believable. It's not worth my time, but it's something that all of us have found ourselves doing, and your consumers are doing it too. Google rolled out something called Performance Max, and y'all, it's amazing. And I'm not a Google shill. If you go to my YouTube channel, what you're going to see is my course is called You versus Google. I don't trust Google. The whole don't be evil, I don't think that that's necessarily real. Google is, their stated goal isn't to help make you successful. Google wants to commoditize your spend against their available inventory. They actually don't want a hierarchical structure where one advertiser wins, which is the natural way that these things would ultimately manifest themselves. Instead, what Google wants to see is, I know everybody who's spending everything, how much money they make, and all the available traffic, and I'm going to maximize my value potential. They want to be able to sell you traffic at 1 penny above what you need to make in order to continue making you spend. But they want all your competitors doing the exact same thing. It is nefarious, and I've seen it. It's a conspiracy theory. I can't prove it, of course, because it's all inside of their little black box. But I have 200 accounts, 54 million in spend that I get to see. I see this all the time, so we can't trust Google. That said, Performance Max is a gift from baby Jesus. It's unfreaking believable what it is that they've given us the opportunity to do. And I'll tell you what Performance Max is. Performance Max is goal-driven, which is a first in digital marketing. Now, you might say like, oh no, we've been able to conversion optimize for as long as I've been marketing. That's not necessarily true. Conversion optimization is a campaign that is measured against a conversion goal. Goal-driven says that I'm going to run this campaign specifically to reach this goal. So instead of driving a bunch of traffic and seeing whether or not the traffic accomplishes the goal, you're going to give Google a goal, and Google is going to work to accomplish your goal. And if you spend some time meditating on that, it is unbelievable that this trillion-dollar machine learning AI mechanism, the god of the internet, is going to take your goal and say, yeah, bro, I got this. Let me go see what I can do. Not only is it goal-driven, but it also gives you the opportunity to build a path of purchase. Google is going to build your path to purchase, because before anybody buys your thing, they need to be exposed to certain layers of content in a certain sequence depending on who they are. And what Google will realize is, oh, and so just to give you an example, women who are over 40 and have been divorced spend 10 times as much on shoes. Women who are over 40 and have been divorced spend 10 times as much on shoes. Kind of makes sense, right? Well, I just found out that Sally has a wedding invitation in her Gmail inbox, and I'm going to carpet bomb that bitch with shoe advertising. But take that idea and extrapolate it across every purchase decision that's ever existed. Google is going to figure out and it's on an avatar basis. And here's what's nuts. This is crazy. You don't write your ads. You don't define where the traffic goes. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
The goals that Google allows you to define are driven. Now, this is one of the things that's really dangerous if you're going to build this. How am I doing on time? I've got 5 minutes. Crap. So
another hour.
You can define the goals that you want Google to accomplish. The problem here, though, and this is why anybody who's tried Performance Max campaigns and say that they failed, it's because they're giving Google incorrect goals. If you take the $1 trillion hunting dog and you say, oh, I want that, it's going to go bring you whatever that is. So we ran this for my own business, and I got an unbelievable influx of leads. They weren't quality leads. So you have to find a way to, and this is counterintuitive for all of us marketers because you just want as many leads as you can possibly get. Raise the bar and realize that we can now go full funnel. I don't need people who just want Google Ads management. I might start getting people who just started their business or just started spending money on paid advertising or e-commerce store owners that are just now importing product because that's my primary avatar. You think about your entire sales funnel and every single one of the goals that those people would need to accomplish in order to qualify themselves, intrinsically qualify themselves as your prospect, and you can define all of those goals to Google. The fact that this is goal-driven advertising is something that we've never seen before, but it means we need to change our entire paradigm. And Google allows us to target new customer acquisition. Y'all, this is crazy, because all of Google's products in the past have capitalized on your remarketing audiences, your brand audiences, your competitor audiences. You actually get to tell Google, this is in beta. They've deployed it for a couple of our higher spend clients, but it's going to be deployed for everybody, hopefully by the end of Q2 this year. You get to tell Google, hey, bro, I only want new customers. I only want people that haven't paid me in the past, which allows for expansion and scalability on a level that we've never seen. Here's how Performance Max works. Actually, real quick, pause for water. Anybody have any questions? How am I doing? Yes, sir.
You upload existing customers, right?
So the question is, can you upload an existing database of past clients and client profiles so it'll,
Oh, dude, it's insane. So you can take your existing customers, upload them to Google, and say, I want more of these. And the more you segment them, the more effective Google gets. It's really freaky. It's really scary. Google, we uploaded a non-Google driven list into a customer's Google campaign. They had a 98% match. 98%. I've never seen anything like it. I almost don't believe it. It's because Google has so much information on all of us that they're able to just match up everybody. And then they go find you more customers just like the customers that you found. With Performance Max, you are going to tell Google your goal first. And the fact that Google let us run campaigns in the past without goals is nuts. It just proves just how evil those flippers are. You're going to tell Google your goals. You're going to give Google all your stuff. So your Google My Business, is if it's a local campaign, this is the first time now. I used to turn down local campaigns. Small local businesses, I'd say, I'm not going to run you. It's too hard. It's non-scalable. They're cyclical markets. For the first time in the last 4 years, am I willing to take on local campaigns, not because of Performance Max. You're going to give it all of your feeds. So if you have e-commerce, give us the entire product feed. You're going to give it all of your assets. Here's what's crazy. You give it text, descriptions, images, videos. You don't create any of the ads. You don't create any of the creative. You give Google the assets, and then you give it the audience signals. So you just say, hey, like, I think people who like dogs might be my customer. And I think somebody who goes to this website, and the audience signals, by the way, they're unbelievable. What is it Google allows you to do? And then you give it your geo-target and your budget, and Google builds, the god of the internet, builds your ad copy, decides like, oh, for this avatar, I'm going to send this ad and send them to this page, and for this avatar, I'm going to use this ad and send them to this page, unless they've done this, in which, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They build your path to purchase for you. It's unfreaking believable. And they use Google's entire inventory. Their entire inventory to do it. We've always been banking on Google search because that's the highest performing inventory because it's extreme bottom of the funnel. The Google Display Network reaches 90% of all internet users on the planet, 65% of whom are reached on a daily basis. It's the most prolific thing on the internet, and for the first time ever, we can actually capitalize on that traffic, and it's cheap. It's cheap. It's fractions of a penny half of the time. Here are the assets that you'll need. You'll provide Google with text assets, image assets, video assets. Google says that they're optional. Google says they can be 10 seconds. This is a lie. They're not optional. If you don't provide Google with video assets, Google will create the videos for you, and they're absolute, complete, and total dog shit. They look like 1995 PowerPoint presentations. You have to give Google videos, and don't let them do 10-second videos. You want to do 30-second videos, because if they're not at least 30 seconds, you don't get watch rates, which means you can't optimize your campaigns. Never, ever, 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 ever trust Google's education and training. They lie to you all the time. All the time. Test everything. You're going to use Google's entire inventory. So your ads are going to show up in places that you never used your ads showing up, and they're also going to show up in manifestations, and they're going to say things that you might not necessarily like. Get over yourself. Anybody with like, oh, my brand requirements say that I have to do this, and this, I don't, then you're not my client. Because the $1 trillion machine learning mechanism says that this is what's going to work for these people, and I trust them more than I trust you. Anybody who has ever said like, oh, I need it to work this way, do you want money, or do you want your ad to show up the way that you want your ad to show up? I'm sorry that I got really petulant. The targeting is my favorite part. The targeting is unbelievable, y'all. So inside of the targeting, of course, you have the geographic targeting, which is really interesting because Google cheats here. Google cheats here. Google's targeting is people in or interested in this location. People in or interested in this location. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona right now. How many people are interested in Scottsdale? I can get traffic from Afghanistan. No bullshit. Some poor dude just dreaming of coming to Scottsdale, and Google's going to target that guy. Now, it's goal-driven, so over time, you'll begin weeding people out. Google used to give us the ability to turn that off. They didn't. This is one of those weird little nefarious, oh, we know better than you. Targeting by language is actually really important. We used to tell people to turn language targeting off because they're searching by keyword. Because they're no longer searching by keyword, you want to target by the language or languages that are applicable to you. And then, this is the thing that is absolutely nuts, URL expansion. You guys. First of all, and I hate it when marketers kill things, but funnels are dead. Funnels are dead. Funnels are dead. Here's why. Google chooses the page they send the traffic to. You don't choose the page the customer goes to. Here's why. If you're selling golf equipment or coaching or boats, I might not be ready to buy the golf equipment yet. I might need to learn a little bit more about putting, right? So Google's going to say, you're going to give Google your entire library of content, and Google's going to say, oh, I'm going to send him here first, because he needs exposure to this content before I even try to sell him anything. You're actually educating your prospects because we need 500 freaking touches. This is why if you don't have content, you are going to die on the vine. Google, and think about it, Google's a content engine, right? Google wants content. That's their entire bread and butter has been SEO from the advent, because they deliver the most relevant result. So they found a way to reward advertisers with content, but we can't send people to squeeze pages anymore. It's not that funnels are dead. It's that you don't create the funnel. Google does. Google does. It's unreal. And Google gives you the ability to turn final URL expansion off. They shouldn't do that. It's a catastrophic error. You're killing the machine learning. You can't do it. The targeting is unbelievable, y'all. It's unbelievable. You can upload customer lists. You can use your remarketing audiences inside of Google Analytics. You can choose interests. And for the first time ever, if you were ever successful on Facebook, back in the heyday of Facebook, when Facebook was producing like $1 and $2 leads, Facebook used to give you the ability to get really, really, really granular. Google's never given us that ability. It's always been really vague and general, like, oh, people who are in business. Google now, their interests, they have in-market, meaning people who are about to buy this damn thing, and affinity, meaning people really like this stuff. Steve Sims' affinity audiences would be motorcycles. Joe, his affinity would be cold plunges. But in-market is like, oh, this person's about to buy a car, a pencil, a stick of gum, a hooker, whatever it ends up being. You get to look at it. Google gave us wallets, RFID wallets. They gave Bailey, which is a Bowley, whatever, a specific brand of wallet. Their delineation from a marketing perspective has gotten so granular that you can actually say, I'm going towards somebody. I have a friend who's a public speaking coach. They actually have in-market for public speaking coach. So I get to build my ad specifically to this one audience. And this is where it gets crazy. You can build a custom segment. You guys. So Google lets you target people who have searched for something in Google. This isn't the same thing as keyword targeting, because keyword targeting means you search for this search term, Google Ads agency near me. Now I have to bid enough to be inside of the 4-pack, because there's only 4 ads on the very top, and I have to capture attention right then and there. This keyword targeting says somebody who has searched for this at some point, and I'm no longer in the dogfight. I'm no longer in the Coliseum with 3 of my best competitors trying to duke it out for your attention in that microsecond. Instead, I get to approach you throughout your digital experience based off of what you searched for. Here's a pro tip. This one made me wicked smart at War Room. You can target competitor URLs. Wait, it gets better. You can target login URLs. So if I wanted to go off of all of Infusionsoft's customers, infusionsoft.com/login, and now I get to, now think about what you can do with that. If you're going after high net worth individuals, you go to like, you know, whatever, merrilllynch.com/etc. You can target people based off of what they've plugged into Lord Google. You can also target people based off of what websites they visit and what apps are on their phone. It is the most advanced form of targeting that we've ever seen. It's multivariate, three-dimensional. It's actually overwhelming. It's overwhelming, and people are using it incorrectly because they're all going straight bottom of the funnel. You want full funnel marketing across every audience you could ever target, and you want to be able to give Google all the goals that will work for you. And you give Google this big spaghetti blob of everything that you've got, and then it distills. It creates the value. How am I doing?
No, you're doing good. Keep going so you can finish your presentation. Everyone hold your questions.
And then when I get up there with you, we'll do Q&A with everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're going to create an asset group. The asset groups are, here are all of my assets, and those asset groups are connected to the audiences. Here's the thing about Performance Max, there are no golden rules. Because you're going to ask me, well, how many asset groups should I create per audience? Should all my audiences be inside of one group, or should I distill them into multiple asset groups? Should I run multiple Performance Max campaigns? The answer is it depends on your business. Depends on your business. What I like to do for anybody who hasn't run Performance Max before is I like to put all their audiences together so Google can begin telling me which audiences are working the best. But I can take audiences, connect them to asset groups, clone this, and then use that to split test various audiences. Here's what's crazy. If I haven't already, wait, there's more. If I haven't even blown your mind, Google gives me something called Performance Insights. It will tell me other audiences that I haven't even targeted, because remember, these are audience signals. They're polite suggestions. Google's going to go all over the place. It tells me other audiences that are performing and their performance. So you can see over here, people that are, what does that say? Something. They're 10.3 times as likely if they're looking for building equipment to purchase this. And you have, and they're all disassociated. I've got pet supplies, building equipment, pet lovers, outdoor enthusiasts.
Which influences the rest of your marketing campaign.
I like you. Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, because it tints it, it colors it. Because if I'm going, it doesn't matter what I'm selling. If I'm going after pet lovers, I know my ads, my assets, my content, my pages are going to be a little bit different than if I'm going after outdoor enthusiasts or whatever, congressmen. I had a joke. I'm not going to say it. We had a client who sells shelf-stable products. Think like food that lasts for 1,000,000 years and you can go to your bunker with. And we were going straight after preppers, and that's all we were going after. Google Insights goes, hey, boating enthusiasts. And I'm like, of course. It's an audience I never would have thought of. I never would have thought of. Google spoon-fed me the audience, and it wasn't a polite suggestion. They actually showed me they're 4.5 times as likely to purchase as the audiences that you're currently targeting right now. Google is going to improve the efficacy of your marketing and give you the audience that you need in order to build. It's unfreaking believable. A couple of things. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. It's so new. It's so new, and I'm testing everything. And I'm going against Google. Google says you have to apply T-ROAS and TCPA, which means Google wants you to tell Google, here's how much money I need to make in order to be successful. Do not do that. If you do that, you put a lid on the machine learning mechanism. There's that old analogy about the what is it, the tick or the fly, that if it'll jump as high as 50 feet, but if you put it in the Tupperware, it'll never jump higher than that lid. That's what you're doing with TCP or T-ROAS. You take it off, you realize I'm going to waste a whole bunch of money, but I'm going to go let Google learn everybody that buys all my stuff. And then I'm going to say, hey bro, I kind of need a 400% ROAS, or I kind of need a $50 CPA or $500 CPA or $5,000 CPA. And now Google goes, oh, I know exactly where to get that. And I know where to give you expansive audiences in order to do it too. I have a 3-part 90-minute training on Performance Max that's absolutely free. It's not gated at all. It's on my YouTube channel. You can go to if you can't find my YouTube channel, don't listen to anything I'm saying because I'm clearly not doing my job very well. I also have an anonymous survey. I want to be a really good speaker, and I know I'm not yet. So you can go to solate.com/better. I don't track you. I don't ask for any information, but you can tell me one thing I do well, 3 things I can improve upon, and topics you'd like to hear about in the future. I'm truly grateful to be speaking to y'all. Like, this is the type of room I want to be in, and I'm so, so thankful for your time and attention today.
Yeah, the challenge is getting these damn amateurs, for Genius Network. It's like, that was great. That was fantastic.
Sorry, we went over time, Joe.
No, it's good. It's all good. And so, yeah, well, I probably won't have to do a lot of work here other than just sit here like a... Go ahead.
So here's a question. Super interested. I've done a lot of paid ads in the past. It used to be add to webinar and then sell a product, basically. Now I'm just doing higher end advisory consulting and use podcasts, organic, and then referral speaking, that kind of thing. Paid ads I haven't re-engaged with. So let's just say you set up a Performance Max campaign. So if it's not available in my account, I don't know even where to look for it. You have a professional account, so you can just do it for us, I assume.
I can. You don't need me. I'm not here to sell from stage. Performance Max is available for everybody.
Yep.
It just became kind of the gold standard for Google. When you go into Google and you start, you say new campaign, and then Google says, do you want sales, leads, asks for your goal, and then the very next tier, it'll say Performance Max with a little new tab there. And if you go through that 90-minute training, it's truly the whole kit and caboodle. Here's the thing about Performance Max. It's not technically difficult to accomplish. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of agencies are going to die on the vine because they're banking on their technical capabilities to keep their clients. It's strategy now. I could teach a toddler. I could teach my 5-year-old son how to run a Performance Max campaign. The only technical limitation is going to be setting up conversion tracking, which is hard for everybody. But once your conversion tracking is set up, which you can get off of somebody on, whatever, Fiverr, then now Performance Max is all strategy.
Yep. So the bottom line then is, you go in, you create a campaign, you tell it a bunch of stuff, you don't put a lid on it, as you say. Right. And then is there a spot where you can upload all your past customer data? And I assume all my cookies and everything else, that all my tracking. So I've got
everything in
Google
analytics,
tracking on my site. Yep.
As long as the audience was built in analytics prior to, you can't go back and say, I want people that have gone to the page, lasted this long, and went to my plans and pricing page, for instance. But as long as your audience has been pre-built, everything in analytics, you can upload customer lists. Be really careful about uploading customer lists. You have to upload customer lists you own. If you purchase a list, that's a violation of Google's terms of service, and they will find you. None of us are smarter than Google. And they're going to shut your ass down. So make sure that it's an organic list, or be really confident about wherever it is you're getting that list. And I've seen it happen. And they don't just flag your account, they flag your billing profile. So I get emails from people all the time that say, can you please start my Google account for me, and I'll wire you the money. And it's because their entire humanity has been banned from Google.
Yep.
Interesting. Let's do this. Can we do, let's go back and forth with online, and then we'll go. Anyone got a question online? And if not, then no hands raised? Okay, good.
People giving you their credit card on the chat.
Someone said, what did he say about the videos you upload not letting to Google?
Oh, Google's going to create videos for you automatically if you don't upload videos. So Google will tell you as you're going through the creation process, it'll say, optional, upload 5 videos. And if you don't create those videos, Google will create them for you, but they're horrible. They take your images and your text and they overlay them like PowerPoint presentations. They don't perform very well. Google also tells you that you can have videos that are 10 seconds in length. Don't do this. You want 30-second videos or longer, because if you don't have 30-second videos, you don't get watch rates. And watch rates are what you're going to optimize against. I like long-form videos. I know all the marketers are like, you need a video that's 90 seconds or lower. Bullshit. If somebody's watching your video, then they're engaged. And when they stop watching your video, they're not engaged. As a matter of fact, having a piece of media that ends before the interest expires is like walking up to somebody at a pub, asking for their phone number, and then sprinting away laughing. Right? Like, you did the hardest thing, you made the approach, you have their attention, now keep it for as long as you want. You can upload a 20-minute video. I've got a 35-minute video that I'm advertising on YouTube. It's one of my highest performing assets.
Let's go you, and then we'll go to Rich online, then we'll come back to you.
So I've had some run-ins with Google AI auto-applying things to my ads, so I have some hesitancy about this, and maybe you can alleviate my fear. Yeah, because like we do NLP trainings, we do hypnotherapy trainings, and Google auto-added the keywords hypnotherapist in Las Vegas. And an NLP practitioner in Las Vegas. And they're like, we improved your click-through. Of course you did, but I'm wasting $9 a click now. People are coming to the page and it doesn't match their intent. So like, is this going to go further down that rabbit hole, or?
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Google is cutting off here's the thing about this, is it's keywordless. This is keywordless. I can't see search terms, and I can't see what pages they're landing on.
So how's it better?
Google's black. Well, the thing is, this is the analogy that I'm giving everybody. Google Ads used to be Formula 1 race car. I'm flying down the road at 250 miles an hour, and I'm making micro decisions, and I get to see everything, and it really is up to me whether or not I crash. It's now interstellar space travel at the speed of light. If you drive, you're fucked, right? Your job is to serve the machine. You're there to juice the engines and make sure that all systems are go and all the lights are doing what you want them to do. You can't drive this anymore. The truth is, and this is going to sound more combative, and I don't mean it to be this way, but you're not smarter than Google. You can't be. Your copy's probably better from an objective perspective even, but Google's copy is going to convert better. And I have $54 million that says that. $54 million worth of campaigns that says every single time I have a professional copywriter go up against Google's automated copy creation, Google's automated copy creation doesn't even make sense half the time. Doesn't even make sense. And yet it converts better because it understands semantic architecture, how to approach people, what their level of education is. Most copywriters speak to people at too high of a level. We need to speak to people at a 7th grade level. That's a statistical truism. You need to speak to people at a 7th grade level in order to get them to convert. and y'all are going triple PhD. So Google just dumbs it down, and it knows, and it also knows things like what adjectives are going to appeal to what person. It knows if you're a Republican or a Democrat. So like these are things that it's not necessarily cataloging the way that we would catalog it. It's cataloging it the way that a machine would catalog it. Everybody's expectation of AI, and this was mine too, by the way. Everybody's expectation of AI is, oh, how do I use AI? How do I get in there and really sink my, and the answer is you don't. AI uses you. You take your hands off and you let the thing do what it's going to do, and it's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. That's exactly right. We are the Borg. We're plugged right in. Here's the other thing that's really interesting is I think we've got 24 months. I think this is the most important advertising mechanism that's ever been deployed, and for the next 24 months, everybody who's a first mover and actually makes it work, because by the way, it's going to fail a lot and fail fast. You have to be comfortable with failing quickly. Here's what I want to say to everybody, and this is going to sound like I am a part of the mothership. If the campaign fails, it's your business. You're targeting the wrong audience. You have the wrong offer. You're not charging enough. You're charging too much. Your message isn't compelling. We're talking about the closest thing to AI humanity's ever created. If it can't sell your shit, it's an indication that you need to improve something. Not that Google didn't work, but if you can get comfortable with that narrative and continue to improve and fail forward 1% improvement every time, you're going to make this work. And for 24 months, it's going to be blue ocean. But then as other people begin to add their assets, their audiences, their pages, what you're going to have is Google doing the thing that it always does, not trying to find a hierarchical structure. Because the hierarchical structure is the natural state of all things. Google doesn't want that. Google wants to spread all the traffic out as much as it possibly can to everybody to keep all the advertisers engaged. And at the end of that 24-month period, then what we're going to start to have to do is we have to get really creative with our audiences, really creative with our messaging, and we're going to have to move out to the periphrasis. So you've got 2 years, and a ton of shit is going to change. We have access to Google's beta. I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you the specific things that are rolling out, but some of what Google's rolling out, it's unbelievable. It's so exciting. So for the next 2 years, it's going to be a lot of fun, and then we're going to see a bunch of people. It's exactly what happened with Facebook. I had friends that were minting money on Facebook, and iOS 14 destroyed it. This isn't going to be quite as catastrophic, pull the rug out from under you. It's going to be like, it also happened at Facebook to where, CPMs went up, conversions went down, and then slowly but surely people were like, oh, it wasn't what it used to be. So 24 months is my guess, and I've been wrong about everything, by the way. If you ever want to lose money, come take stock tips from me. But my guess is we've got 24 months for Blue Ocean.
Great. Let's go to Rich online, and then we'll come back to you.
A fantastic presentation, by the way. You might have actually just answered some of my question here, but you said not to put a cap on what you want to make out of that campaign because you don't want Google to know that. Wouldn't it at some point Google kind of just figure it out on their own based on the industry you're in and what campaign you're asking for in the target market? Couldn't they figure out, oh, I've seen you before and other people have told me how much you need to make, so now I know without you telling me?
That's a brilliant statement. Yes. So in the e-commerce space, this is my best example. Google not requires, but Google asks for what's something called GTIN codes. And if you're in e-com deep, you know what GTIN is. It's UPC. It's the unique identifier. Google identifies products according to GTIN code because if you change the title, the description, the picture, it needs a unique identifier. Well, Google uses that unique identifier to determine what your margins are. And if I take somebody who's manufacturing and selling themselves and take somebody who's drop shipping, Google gives the manufacturer more traffic, preferential treatment, all other things being equal, because it knows, oh, you make more money on this particular GTN code. Google knows what your margins are, or more importantly, what your margins should be. I had a client selling life insurance, and that's all he sold. It's the only line of insurance he sold. He couldn't compete because other insurance companies use life insurance as a loss leader in order to sell like home, auto, umbrella, etc. And so the cost for the traffic of life insurance was more than he made on the insurance policy. So to answer your question, yes. However, there's shades of gray. So within the window that Google has identified, you don't want to put any ceilings on that window, because if you tell Google, I have to have leads at, my leads can be $2,000 a lead because of the ecosystem that we're in. So if I tell Google I have to have a $2,000 lead, Google's not going to expand its research beyond what it thinks can fit inside of that box. And I actually inhibit the machine's learning. So I don't give it any cost per lead. I spend 90 days paying the machine to learn. And this is a really hard sales pitch, y'all. If I'm in front of clients telling them like, hey, you're going to pay the machine to learn and it might not work. Like, that's not a great place, but that's the best that I got. And then at the end of 90 days, now I get to put a lid on it. And now what we've noticed is Google goes, oh, I know where to go. Or, yeah, that's not feasible. Can't bring you Google Ads leads at $2,000 a pop, which also, by the way, is really good information to know, right? It's like, hey, maybe we should go somewhere else. I hope that answered the question, Rich.
No, that did. So for right now, it's blue ocean, leave it that way, and then adapt and adjust as necessary when you need to.
for 90 days. I'd only leave it open for 90 days. And then on day 91, you go in and say, here's my target ROAS, here's my TCPA. And I actually like to list it higher and then drop it down as I'm getting closer to micro audiences. And so you kind of have an X and a Y axis. There's your target ROAS and your TCPA is higher for broad audiences. And the more specific your audience goes, in theory, the more you can request of Google because, and that's, I mean, it's just logic, right? You're getting closer and closer and closer to a specific person and their intent. And you can't get lazy. If you find audiences that really work for you, go create new assets that work for those audiences. Google is going to burn through media, burn through images, burn through videos. So all you people who want to like go through your design profile and have the mock-ups created and spend a weekend going over shit, like you're going to be, Google wants 5 videos on the front end, 80% of them are going to be absolutely irrelevant when that campaign fully optimizes. One of those videos is going to perform, then Google wants 5 more. You need to get really good. It's like fast fashion, but with media. You need to get really good at churning out media and content, and you want to make sure, to the point that this gentleman made, you want to make sure that the media is specific to the audience that you're going after.
What's their end goal, you think?
Thank you.
They're trying to, and you think that they're basically trying to re-engage the half of us that quit that crap because we were losing money?
That's why I asked that question, because I want to know who here is running campaigns and can't live without them, which that number, by the way, that used to be 50% 3, 4, 5 years ago. And more, when I'm in rooms like this, the more sophisticated entrepreneurs are not hooked up to the power team. Because if they are, they know that they're at a massive disadvantage. But yeah, Google wants, it's the first time we've ever had full funnel marketing. It's the first time ever. And it's effectively autopilot. Yeah, Mark, you had a question?
Well,
oh yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so glad my head didn't explode, and I'm so impressed that Joe's still intact after 3 hours with you.
Meditation helps.
Yeah. So getting back to the 500 plus digital touch points of before purchase. So you said, quality content.
Yes.
Right? So I kind of take the Lil Wayne approach. He makes so much music, some of it's good.
Yes.
I create so much content, some of it's good. Is that still a viable approach, or do you want to have less, more, really just show good content?
I'm a huge fan of Power Pages, but I like Power Pages to be topic specific. So I don't want a Power Page to be like a book, because a book has multiple chapters. I want a Power Page to be the chapter in the book, and then you give Google the new chapter. And the way to think about that is it's the URL. Google is reading the URL and the title of your page. And what's our SEO friend's name? Sean?
Stefan Spencer.
Stefan, please challenge me on this, because I'm not an SEO by any stretch of the imagination, but my understanding of SEO is Google's 5 most important ranking factors are SEO friendly, title, URL, H1 tag, meta description, which I realize isn't in the ranking, but it contributes to the human perception of the page, and then if I set alt tags for images. You want those things to be topic specific, because Google's going to say, like, you're shopping for a water filter. People need to know about the uranium filter. So uranium would be that one Power Page. And then if you moved on to a different metal, then, or a different process or a different cycle, then you'd move on to a different page. One-page websites are deadly, because you can't send people through imagine you looking at your analytics, you want to be able to see what it is that they're interested in. Like, oh, they went to my YouTube page, they're interested in YouTube ads. Or, oh, so every page should give you insight as to interest. And you want a very robust website. And very robust is subjective. It depends on your industry. If you're selling pencils, you might need 10 pages. But if you're selling nanotech, you might need 100,000. And you want it multimedia. You want, obviously, the text on the page. And as much as people say they don't read, Google disagrees. And you want videos. And videos, y'all, do not need to be overproduced. As a matter of fact, they perform poorly. Overproduced videos perform poorly. You don't need Scorsese. If you have an iPhone that's less than 2 years old, you have a better camera than James Cameron shot the first Avatar on. Pull out your camera and shoot your ads, and that's it. As long as your audio is good, the one thing that has to be critically, the one thing that really does need to be great is your audio. But if your audio is good and people can hear you, be really careful about wind blowing, then you can be walking, you can be talking. It doesn't need to be high end. People want that personal, organic feel.
Photos versus videos, depending on your industry.
And you need both. Google's going to take both and use both. So it's not an or, it's an and. Mark, did I answer your question? I'm checking with you.
Let's.
Online. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Hold on, Sheree. We'll get if we could get her also. But, Daniel online.
Hey, Kasim, right? Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. As a marketer, you were fire hose to the face of information. I know you had super limited time. Love the passion. For a lot of us that may have had been in the paid world for a little while, and maybe just getting business elsewhere. what would be the advice of getting started for some of us that are like, whoa, that's a lot of information. Do these 3 things first, get into momentum this way. What starting points would you say for many of us?
It's a great question. I'm going to put y'all in 2 categories. First category is e-commerce. Y'all are so lucky. If you're e-com, because Google knows exactly what you make. They don't know lifetime value, of course, they have a guess. But we have 54, so I have 200 clients in total, 54 Performance Max campaigns running. Get this, I don't have a single Performance Max campaign that didn't at least meet the efficacy of prior campaigns. And most of them far, far, far exceeded it. If you're an e-commerce store and you've been running Google Ads, just turn on Performance Max and it's a rocket ship to the moon. It's unbelievable. I haven't seen it fail. If you're an e-commerce store and you haven't been running Google Ads, be really patient with it, but Google's going to get there. My lead generation folks, you want the phone to ring, people to schedule appointments, you are going to be really impressed and inspired today. You're going to go try this and you're going to get really pissy with me later. You're like, that guy didn't know he needs a haircut, right? Like he just, and the problem with lead generation, and I can tell you this because I'm in this space right now, lead gen with Performance Max, it's almost too powerful. I'm like, I want phone calls. And Google's like, all right, here come the phone calls. And it's like, well, no, so lead gen, and I'm still figuring this out myself. What I think needs to happen with Performance Max, and this gets a little philosophical, is we need to, instead of start setting goals that are at the extreme bottom of the funnel, start defining what your early stage goals are and then measuring the efficacy. And I'm not answering your question at all. You said, what are the 3 steps to get started? If you're e-com, build a Performance Max campaign right now today. Upload your data feed and launch it. It will take you about 90 minutes. Go watch my video. If you're lead gen, find the little hinge that swings the big door as far as the action. And you probably already know this. What's the thing that if a customer did this thing on your website, that's a really strong indication that they're a lead? It's generally like a really powerful lead magnet or something like that. And then set that goal and run your Performance Max campaign. But the truth is you got to test it. And the most fun you can have testing this is playing with the audiences. The audiences are so expensive. And y'all, please don't go to the center of the target. All of your competitors are shooting at the center of the target. If you're selling numismatic coins, go after people that are trying to buy raw land, because people who buy numismatic coins buy raw land. So try to find the audiences that exist on the peripherasis, because remember that the context with which you give Google is not the context with which Google is going to use to approach those people. So it's not out of context to say, hey, I know that you are trying to buy raw land, and now this person is just traversing throughout the internet, and they're like, oh my goodness, here's some ads for numismatic coins. It's really interesting. I'm actually really interested in that type of stuff. Find the audiences that are connected. I know I had the highest performing real estate investment campaign on the planet for 7 years. I know that people that are about to get a divorce are going to sell their house. So I could go to that little people who've gone to these websites and I'll enter every single divorce attorney in that geography, and then I'll approach them with my sell your house fast for cash ads, right? So try to find the if this then that audiences that aren't right in the middle of the target, because right in the middle of the target, that's where audiences are expensive no matter what. But if you can find the audiences on the peripherasis, especially audiences that other people don't know about, that's where you really get to carve out places that will protect you too at the end of this 24-month span that I think is going to happen. How was that?
It was good. And just a follow-up, I think, for clarity purposes. So you said not to necessarily build out a landing page. Google will do it for you. My understanding it is, have a very specific targeted outcome to why you're running ads, let's say in the lead gen world, and make it a landing page. Don't send them to your website that has 25 pages or whatever it is. Send them to a one outcome landing page with very specific offer to maximize conversions. So what are you saying with regard to, are you saying not to build a landing page and to just...
Yes. I disagree with the single page strongly. And this is actually pre-Performance Max. Pre-Performance Max, I can tell you, takes 3.5 clicks and 2.5 pages to catalyze a conversion, which means the conversion isn't happening on that page. People, they bounce around. They want to bounce around. Your second most trafficked page is generally your About Us page. People want to know mission, vision, values. Who are you? And sending people to squeeze pages, people don't want to be squeezed. Squeeze pages works because we were all new to the internet. But as we've kind of figured things out, one of the things that I see all the time with Hotjar is people will land on a squeeze page, delete the URL or the subdomain, and then go back to the home page. Everybody in this room has done that. The more sophisticated you are, the more you've done that. Squeeze pages are at your disadvantage. You don't want to force people to take action. You want to provide so much value that they'll come back. And so what you need is a content-rich web. And by the way, there's so many marketers that are so much smarter and wealthier than me that disagree. So listen to all those voices, because dissent, I think, is important here. My very strong opinion is you need a website that is content rich, that doesn't force compliance. People are going to go where they need to go in order to learn. Google's going to watch that and then attempt to replicate that process through the use of something like Performance Max, because they'll see, Google will say, like, gosh, they go to page A, M, and 4. So now all of a sudden the ads will say, oh, anybody in this avatar, I'm going to advertise first page A, then page M, then page 4. I think that trying to control the process too much, to the conversation you and I were just having, puts you at a disadvantage. Trust the machine. Create a content-rich website, that's going to really suck for all the info marketers on the planet that want to. And I'm not, I mean, even Russell Brunson are friends on Facebook. Like, I'm not going after ClickFunnels. I'm not going after funnel building. I'm just telling you from a technical perspective, Google wants, think about what a machine would want in order to learn a path to purchase. Google wants all that available and accessible.
Awesome.
Yep. Wow. Thank you, Shri. And we'll take 3 more questions. We'll do 1 here and then 2 online, and then
short answers, y'all.
No, this is
my question actually relates to some of what you just said. What I understand from what you're saying is you really want more specific single individual pages and really good quality content. So if we are creating things behind, like Genius Network, for example, so much content is behind a Genius Network membership, and you're adding a username and password in order to access that. Are you saying that that doesn't get seen by this entire process?
Yes, ma'am. It's a great question, and it's the balance of risks, because the gated content is the product, but the gated content is also the thing that Google is going to use to sell the product. So if you take all of your product or you take all of your content and you put it on a continuum, let's say something akin to a timeline, you get to decide where the gate exists, and it can't be early. So we need to give them enough. And this has been true for marketing since the advent, right? It's not new. It's just, instead of us deciding it, Google's deciding it. We're going to say, how much of this content am I going to make available and accessible before somebody's like, okay, I'm going to go pay you my money. And you can move that goal line. You can change where it is. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to be really cautious with it, as soon as you've given content away, it's hard to take it back. So you can start maybe a little bit more limited, realize that your campaigns probably aren't going to perform as well as somebody who's given away more, and then slowly move the bar. I can tell you, because I do this, I give away everything. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's nothing I hold back. Super, super deep. My team talks, I have 70 employees, and every single one of them at some point has said, are you sure we should be shooting this YouTube video? Here's the problem is, if I don't, somebody else will. So I'm like, I'm just going to bank on being the thought leader. I'm the first to market, and if somebody else, I know for a fact there are 2 major agencies. One of them is a $600 million valuation. We have, one of my employees has a friend who works there. He shot us a screenshot of their Slack channel with my videos. So the $600 million agency is using our videos to learn how to do this shit. Now, it's really scary. And my first inclination is like, oh, I'm going to stop doing that. But then I put myself at such a disadvantage for the other 7 billion people on the planet that want to learn this stuff. So, and this might be naive and it might be quixotic, but I mean, worst case scenario is I help some folks. You know what I mean? Like, they learn, the people that are going to pay me are probably going to pay me. And there might be like a small percentage that, oh gosh, I can do this myself. That's fine. God bless them. And I feel that way for most industries. I realize that there's some industries that doesn't apply to. That was a long answer too. I'm sorry, Cherie. I'll get better.
No, you're very good at what you do. You know that. Yeah, this is very good. This is it's interesting, the level of work that I'm having to do in this interview right now. It's incredible. Now, you know, it makes me think about Genius Network. What I almost kind of treat it as, there's still this pay-per-view mentality that people will pay for when things are live, right? You know, and then I have content where I'll do interviews, even at the last annual event. I mean, there's several presentations there that I'm like, I just should put them out into the wild for, you know, just let people watch them and benefit from it. And then most the members, because I try to be very, you know, careful about this, where I will say, well, you know, how about if we just put, you know, this out as a podcast, this 10-minute talk, and we've taken a handful of 10-minute talks and put them out as podcasts. And I ultimately see so much wisdom and knowledge that comes out of this group. It's better off just putting it out into the world, because what a lot of the value in like this group saying, you know, the product is behind the gate, is the fact that everyone comes and meets each other. I mean, I think of the content here, the talks, is almost the excuse to bring everyone together so that they can become friends with each other. You know, to me, I really look at this as a connection network, right? But you have to have really good conversations where people are going to learn things and they're going to find it valuable, because in their minds that justifies why they're paying to be here. But it's really, that's sort of my excuse to get them to meet each other. Yeah. You know, because the real product here is the relationships. you know, and so, but that's interesting. So we've got two online. We got Jenny and Genevieve. Whoever wants to go first. Last two, yeah, and then we'll do a lunch break.
Okay.
So,
Kasim, this is really awesome. I love your fabulous, positive, powerful energy. It's just coursing through you, and I feel it here in Atlanta. Thank you for being so incredibly generous with your wisdom and your experience. It's just great. So I got two questions, quickies. What industries do you think are going to benefit most from the performance platform? I'm just curious off the top of your head, the top 3 to 5. And then secondly, I'm putting myself in Google's shoes also as an investor. And does this mean in your mind that Google has come up with a genius way to really optimize their inventory 24/7? Because you talked about the if and when and thinking about these creative triangulations. They know about triangulations that we don't know. And if I'm sitting there with literally billions of dollars worth of inventory that's going untapped or unoptimized, I'm wondering what portion of this is a spend that they're optimizing for themselves versus what is a spend for you as your business. I know that's kind of an abstract thing. I think you know where I'm going with that. Or maybe you're on the psychic network there. I'll let you take it.
No, it's really good questions. The first answer is something I've thought a lot about because I arm my sales team with our target avatars. I think e-commerce and SaaS are going to be the easiest, not necessarily the best. I think anybody with a long sales cycle, you need to get click to purchase out of your mind. You need to get like, oh, I paid my agency money and now I need click to purchase. What's going to happen is Google is going to educate your consumer and bring them from the top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel over time. If you have a 2-year sales cycle, Google's going to reverse engineer that sales cycle and determine what it looks like. So the more complex your sales cycle, the more I think Performance Max will work for you. And I realize that that's something of a philosophical response, but complex sales cycles that require content and education, it's what Performance Max is built for. The more linear, and I mean like emergency veterinary clinics, for instance, not necessarily, emergency plumbing. You don't need Performance Max for that. It's like, shit, my dog broke his foot. I have to have a vet. I wonder what his review. So you gotta, the more complex and the longer the sales cycle, the more Performance Max I think is going to help. But my fear is advertisers aren't used to paying a computer to learn a 2-year sales cycle. So you'll have to be patient. The second answer is yes. Google, 99% of Google's inventory was untapped. 99% of Google's inventory was untapped, and maybe it's 95 if I'm, estimating it correctly. But I'm thinking about how prolific the Google Display Network is, and Google wasn't selling that inventory in a way that was truly monetizable. This changes that. It's so exciting. I think, and y'all, Google is so much bigger. If you look at the amount of eyeballs Google gets versus the amount of eyeballs any other advertising network and mechanism, there's an infographic out there that shows you the size of Google, the size of YouTube, and then the size of Facebook, which is its next biggest competitor. Google it's a leviathan, and they do a really good job at pretending like, oh, we're just this little search box on the internet. Google is effectively the internet. The thing that usurps Google is a change of context. So when we go virtual reality, augmented reality, Google owns the space where I'm in a device looking at content. So, and the thing, I think about this a lot because my whole business is based off of Google. Where Google will be or can be usurped is when we change the way we interface with digital media. And so AR and VR are going to be really interesting. And really all that's going to happen, I imagine, is they'll just buy up all the competitors before they can get big enough. Mm-hmm. But if you see a change as to where the media is coming from and how, that's the big danger to Google.
Okay, so you're a buyer.
Oh God, yes. Jesus. Okay. That's
the problem. You're buying Google shares right now.
Until it's on fire, and then we all need to sell faster. But yeah, I just think I think they're so powerful, terrifyingly powerful. Google can change elections, and probably has. Yeah. Google knows when flu outbreaks are coming and who's going to get HIV before they get HIV. Like, Google knows who's going to kill themselves. Y'all, this is nuts. Google's actually, they've had really high level, and this is kind of cool, they've had really high level discussions with, I built the National Association of Child Helplines years ago. Google's had really high level conversations with people with suicide prevention organizations because Google can tell based off of your online engagement who's going to kill themselves months and years before they do it. It's an unbelievable mechanism to contend with.
Wow.
Thank you.
Jenny Lachlan.
Well, that pretty much just answered my question, because great job, Kasim, amazing. And I was thinking 500 touch points, but I'm buying things after the first time I see them. There's no way that could be 500 times. So I'm guessing what you're saying is we, on a subconscious level, we are getting hit maybe not 500 times to buy a beauty product, but a lot more than 7. Is that what you're saying?
500 is hyperbolic, of course. 500 depending obviously on the purchase decision. And when you're buying something without having seen it, and there's data to support this too. I'm trying to remember the study. There was a 20-year study, I think, done by MIT. But it was all advertising on the periphery. How many times did you need to be influenced by something before you actually were receptive to the advertisement? Because there's the advertisements that move, and then there's the advertisements that drop the walls that allow you to move. And that's all. Google's really obsessive with the periphrasis because it's the most important part. It's the most important part. It's what you're exposed to that you don't realize that you were exposed to.
You need to speak into the thing. I know you're doing that little weird whispering thing that's gonna seduce half the audience that actually it works for. Stephen Spencer, are you on? You want to say anything? Curious to hear what his thoughts would be.
I am on. This is my duckling.
Wow. That's really cool.
Rescue, yeah. The mother was chased by so I don't really have anything to add. Well, one thing you did say about, like, I don't know, SEO, but these are some of the 5 signals that I think are important. Yeah, I would differ on those 5, but yeah, it's clearly your stuff about Google Ads and Performance Max, and really impressed. And yeah, keep up the great work.
I would love to have to first off introduce both of you guys, and because I'm always the guy that tries to bring capabilities together and see what happens with it, merge them, mash them up and see what happens. But also, I think there's collaborations here. So that's what I want to see happen within this group, is that you just add capabilities to each other and everyone gets better. I mean, that's what the whole, that's at least my objective. And any famous last words? Grateful. Thank you. I'm grateful too. I'm very, very appreciative. And I hope that you drop out of all the other masterminds so you can make time for this one. If you want to, any videos you put together, anything that you put together that you think members should see, let me know and I'll share it with everyone, and just let's just develop this, because we had a damn near 3-hour meeting right before this meeting, and he's gonna help me with some stuff related to my Connected movie. I'm trying to figure out what's the right model to really release that in ways to, just get it out to a lot of people. And even if I monetize it or not, I just want to put a lot of stuff out there, and with a lot of stuff related to recovery, all the content I have to help people with addictions. And so, yeah, I don't believe this will be the last time you'll see this guy.
What's the best way to connect with you or talk more about it? Or places people to introduce you to, or to have you speak?
Things like that.
Yes, my website is sol8.com, sol8.com. And so if anybody's interested in services, that's the best place to go. And then I have a personal website, which is just kasim.me, Kasim.me. It's my old exercise in narcissism.
Where do you want to speak next?
Oh, what an amazing question.
Where do you want to speak next from Cameron?
I have the sad, pathetic personality type that loves attention. So just about any stage I can get on that's justifiable. But I'd love to be on. My grand plan is I want to be on Joe Rogan, because I want to warn the world of what Google is and what it can do. So I can't imagine he'd be interested in speaking to me, but I really like that guy. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and by the way, right now, because I have several friends that have been on Joe Rogan, and we're working on trying to get him to come to a meeting. So if anyone here also has a direct connect, I mean, the more the merrier. And yeah, I mean, I think that'd be really valuable.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Him and Jordan Peterson, who I called JP my digital dad. I'm obsessed with him too.
Yeah.
How do clients work with you? How do you charge?
You got to talk in the thing, please, Mr. Grandpa.
How do clients work with you? How do you charge?
We do campaign management. It's all month to month, no contracts. And I take a flat fee plus a percentage, so it's $1,500 plus 10%. And then it drops by tiers as you spend more. So if you get to $1 million in spend, I end up being about 4% of total spend, which is significantly less than most premier agencies. Like Mute 6 charges 35%.
So can I sign up before anyone else here does?
I already did, sorry.
I swear to God, this isn't a sales tactic. We're frozen right now because we got a little overwhelmed recently with some attention that I got. I would, of course, prioritize Genius Network over new prospects.
How bad do you want to be on Joe Rogan?
For people online, he said, how bad do you want to be on Joe Rogan? So if you're going to talk, please use the thing.
Sorry, I just said, how bad do you want to be on Joe Rogan? I've been paid to speak on all 7 continents. You tell me where you want to speak. I just got paid to speak in Antarctica as well. If you tell me where you want to speak, we'll get you there, but you have to open up for a few people. You can't come here.
Done. Yes. Thank you, Karen. I'll run it myself. That's
Penguins like you?
Yeah, that's funny. Well, this was fantastic. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Awesome. And
okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.